video, we're going to work out how to solve equations algebraically, and this is based on chapter 10D in your textbook. So there's a few things I want you to keep in mind before we start doing some worked examples, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to do the opposite operation. So the opposite operation is from adding is to subtract, okay, and vice versa. The opposite operation from dividing is to multiply and vice versa. Okay, so for instance, if I had, just going to draw a little line here. The opposite of divided by 3 is to multiply by 3. Okay, the opposite of adding 21 is to take away 21, and so on, okay, and so forth. And the opposite applies. So for instance, the opposite of multiplying by 3 is divided by 3. And the opposite of to take away 21 is to add 21, okay? Now, when we are doing our operation, what we're actually doing, we're making our equation simpler, and we're getting the pronumeral, so the letter, by itself. So the pronumeral might be x, a, b, it might be anything, okay? So an example would be, if you have this equation, 5x plus 2 equals 17. Right now you can see this little x is here. We actually want to get this x by itself, so we're going to do opposite operations such as taking 2 away, okay? Remember, when with equations are equal statements on each side of the equal sign, so we have to do it to both sides, okay? Now, I'm not going to finish this one. I'm just showing you for this sake, and then I'm going to show you some more examples. Now, before I get started, I want to keep in mind we're going to do 2 types of problems. The first one is one-step equations, and the second one is 2-step equations. Now, with one-step equations, we're just going to basically do one step, and with 2-step equations, it's just gonna use an equal step. So you've done lots of problems before in maths where you've it's required more than one step, so it's not a big deal, okay? Let's first do some one-step equations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a title, one step. And I'm just going to say this is short for equations, okay? Question 1. You have 5x equals 30. Now remember, when you have the 5 next to the x, there's a little invisible multiplication sign in there. So what we want to do is we want to divide both sides by 5 to get the x by itself, okay? When you divide 5 by 5, you can get rid of the 5s, okay? Then x becomes 30 divided by 5, which is 6, and 6 is your answer, okay? It's simple as that. Let's do another one. 17 equals y take 21. Remember, we want to get this pronumeral, so the y by itself. At the moment, you can see that they're taking away 21, so let's do the opposite to get that y by itself. So we're going to add 21 to both sides, and you need to make sure you're always doing to both sides, else you're not going to get the right answer. 21. 17 plus 21 equals 38. And you've got y by itself, so 38 is your answer. One more. 10 equals q over 3. Now, you might notice, so again, we want this q, which is our pronumeral by itself. So this 3 here is being divided. So what's the opposite of dividing? It's to multiply. So let's multiply 3 on both sides. This means we can cross the 3 out on this side. 3 times 10 is 30. 30 equals Q, and there you go. So they were some one-step equations, and as you can notice, I've just basically done one thing to each of them, okay? It's one step. Now I'm going to show you one more set of examples, and with these examples, it's going to require us to do one extra step, okay? I'm going to make a title, and I'm going to say two-step equations. Two-step equations. Okay. Question 1. So you have 7 plus 4a equals 23. Now what I want you to do with these questions, I want you to get a highlighter, and I want you to firstly highlight your pronumeral. So my pronumeral is a, and the idea is because I want to get this a by itself. So that's my goal. Now, what I'm firstly going to do is I'm going to look at this 7, okay, and I'm going to get the 7 by itself. Sorry, I'm going to get rid of that 7. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take away 7 from both sides, because at the moment it's actually a positive, okay? So I'm going to take 7 away. Minus 7. Minus 7, okay? This allows me to cross it off here. What I'm left with is 4a. 23 minus 7 gives me 16. Okay, that was one step. Now I'm going to do it's going to take one more step to get that a by itself. Okay, so as I was saying before, when you have a 4 next to an a, you have a little invisible multiplication sign in there because the 4 is being multiplied by a. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the opposite of multiplication, which is to divide. So going to divide both sides by 4. That means we can cross this off. And then you get a, 16 divided by 4, which equals 4. And then that's your answer. Okay, and can you see why it's a two-step equation? We've got one step, two step. Okay. Let's do 2 more examples with this one. So d over 3 take 2 equals 4. Okay, the first step I need to do, I'm going to need to highlight my pronumeral because that reminds me my goal is to get that by itself. Okay, let's first of all get rid of the 2 here. Okay, now the opposite would be to add 2 to both sides. So I'm going to do that. Plus 2. Plus 2. Cross out my 2 on this side. Now I'm left with d over 3 equals 6. Okay, now can you notice here my 3 is basically being divided. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the opposite of division, which is to multiply. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. 3. Okay, that allows me to get rid of my 3 on this side. Then I get d equals 6 multiplied by 3, which is 18. Okay, that's my answer. And again, one step, two step, done. Okay, let's just do one more example. 12, and this is probably as hard as the questions get. So if you can understand how we get here, then you're really ready to go. So 2 brackets e plus 1. My first step is to highlight e because I want to get e by itself, okay? Now, this 2 here, this 2 is being multiplied, okay? Because when we see this 2 next to brackets like this, what we do is we multiply whatever's in the bracket by 2, okay? We're not going to do that today. We actually want to get rid of that 2. So, since it's being multiplied, why don't we divide both sides by 2 and we can get rid of it, okay? I'm going to cross my 2 out on this side. 12 divided by 2 gives me 6. Then I've got e plus 1. Okay, I want to get rid of this 1 because that means my e will be by itself. So since it's being added, let's take it away and then we can cross it off from both sides. We have to do it to, we can cross it off on my right hand side. So we're going to take away 1 from both sides. Okay, that means I can cross it off here. 6, take away 1 gives me 5. And this is what e equals. And there's your answer, okay? 1 step, 2 step. Okay, these are 2-step equations. I hope that makes sense.